boy. I already got a problem with the mic, I just realized. Tightening up the mic. Hold on, guys. Sorry about the delay. Had to break down the studio. Well, long weekend. Had a bunch of projects I was working on. Excuse me. All right, there we go. Let's get all this started. Wow, what a bad start to the show, huh? What an awful start. Hey, everybody, welcome into the why we got ads going. Oh, if it's seriously going to be a thing, I like to have the American flag behind me that doesn't have the ads. But what's more American than that? Chat room. Who's in the chat room? We got no chat room going on? There we go. There's my guy. There's Chris. Chris, we got to talk this week. Not tonight. I'll send you an email, but soon. Tomorrow, hopefully. Let's say hi to some people in the chat room as we get the rant started. As I said, Chris, we got Jen, we got Chuck, we got Peter. Did I merge the chat room? Let me make sure. I did. All right, we're good. Welcome into the rant, folks. This is a daily stream of consciousness. Why does that look crooked? Why do I look like... What is going on? I had the camera. What is happening here? This isn't what I want. Hold on. We want the American flag, right? Is that what we want? 3 hours of American flag or 10 hours? I don't know. I'm a 10-hour of American flag kind of guy. Here we go. Now everything's ready. Hi, April. April is here. Suffering from a voice thing. It started happening on Friday, so I have to talk like this today, which isn't great, but we'll see. It's not the allergies. The allergies were like 3 weeks ago. Now this is, I don't know what this is. Maybe I'm just losing my voice. And how about the one thing that he wants to use in his life? Let's take that away from him. What do you say? Let's take his voice away from him. Let's see. Byron's here. Okay, everybody's coming in. Chuckle's got a new avatar. He's representing OU. OU, is that because it's OU Texas weekend? I'm a Texas guy, so I won't let that, I won't that. Nothing against you, Chuck. I just got a kid who's obsessed with Texas. Oh, my God. So my 50-year-old son, my 15-year-old son who plays football, he's got three colleges that he wants to go to, 3 colleges that he's looking at, and they are lofty, aspirational colleges to be sure. He wants Notre Dame, University of Texas, or SMU, and his dad is like, yeah, I'm good with all of those schools. You know why? You know why? As dad, I'm good with all of those schools because those aren't just football schools. Okay, they're not. They're academic institutions of higher learning respected from coast to coast. That's what I want. So I had him this weekend. And we're driving. I pick him up on Friday afternoon, and we're driving back. And he starts talking, right? Because he's starting to get like recruitment letters, which is cool, right? But they're small schools and all that. And he goes, I go. So what's the most interesting one? He's like, I don't know. I really want to get a recruitment letter from. Are you ready for this? Florida. I'm like, what? What? Now, remember, I told you Notre Dame, Texas, SMU, those, you get a degree from those schools, you get jobs places. University of Florida? What's he going to be, like a cheerleader, high school coach or something? What are you, a physical therapist? Phlebotomy? What the fuck is the University of Florida known for other than just partying and football and Urban Meyer? So I was a little shook by that. I'm like, what's this interest in Florida you suddenly have? I mean, if you're going to do Florida, I'd feel better about the U than Florida. Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez. So that brings me to what we did this weekend. So I'm trying to scare him straight about how terrible Florida would be as an aspirational school that he wants to go to. Oh, we got into another argument too, and I'll share that with you. So what we did this weekend was I made him watch the Aaron Hernandez stuff. That's right. The Aaron Hernandez, there is a FX series from Ryan Murphy, American Sports Story. And it tells the story of Aaron Hernandez and how he battled being gay. I think he did something else, and I'm sure Aaron's going to get into something else that he's known for, but pretty much the whole series is about how he battled being gay, and that seems to be the biggest problem in Aaron Hernandez's life. Anyway, there's also a documentary series so what we did this weekend was we watched an episode of the dramatization and then we watched an episode of the reality series. Again, my thing is I'm trying to teach him that Florida is not an aspirational school. I don't know. He seemed to like it even more, especially in the FX show, the dramatized Aaron Hernandez series, especially when he got recruited by Florida. He's like, see, Dad, look how awesome that looks. I'm like, this is not working. This is not working. My plan to look at them. They got strip clubs in Florida. I'm like, dude, you know where they don't have strip clubs? South Bend, Indiana. They don't have them there. So then I said to my 15-year-old kid, and I don't know if any of you have 15-year-old kids. Some of you might, so you might relate to this. But my 15-year-old kid, he knows everything. He knows everything in the world. He knows there is not a piece of information that I can give him that could be at all useful to him in his life. He knows everything. So, dad brag. His grades are freaking ridiculous. Like, he's like the most competitive student that I've ever seen. In my day, we'd call him a nerd, but he's like bigger than me and really strong and could kick my ass. So whatever. Anyway, his grades are really strong. And I said to him, because we were going over his grades, he just got like the first whatever set of grades. And they're all incredible. They're all incredible. They're all A's. He's never not gotten an A. That's true. That's true. It's like, I don't know. It's insane. Because that ain't me. It's probably his mom. Let's be honest. It's his mom. Anyway. So we're talking about his grades, and I go, dude, seriously what we ought to be doing? We ought to be looking at the Ivy League, right? Look at me, Dad, right? I'm like, the Ivy League. You need to go to the Ivy League. And he goes, they don't play football in the Ivy League. I go, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And in fact, there are a number of NFL players who have come out of the Ivy League. And then I even went, in the last draft, your Chicago Bears chose Kieran Amagage out of Harvard in the third round. They do get drafted out of the Ivy League. So then he starts shit talking the Ivy League while trying to promote Florida. And I'm like, oh, my 15-year-old is a moron. Oh. At one point, I said to him, I looked him dead in the eye, and I said, are you telling me that if Princeton offered you a scholarship, you would still prefer to walk on at Florida? And he looked me dead in the eye, and he goes, yep. And I'm like, fuck. Well, I get drafted as a walk-on at Florida. I go, you will get drafted. I mean, they'll take any NFL team. If you are at all even close to being NFL caliber and you're graduating from an Ivy League, they will take a flyer on you in the 5th or the 4th round or the 6th round or whatever, long before they'll take a flyer on some dude who walked on at Florida. What is wrong with you? Leadership. Anyway, that was our weekend. We watched a lot of Aaron Hernandez, and he trolled me. I'm thinking it's got to be a troll. It's got to be a troll that he's like, now, I'm like, which one is gone? Texas, Notre Dame, SMU? He's like, no, none of them are gone. I'm just adding Florida. I'm like, no, you're not. Florida. He wants to go be a Gator. Jeff Ballard says Ivy League, twice as much for the same education. Boy, that's spoken like someone who's never been out of the cornfield. No, it's not. Dude, no, it's not. That's so dumb. It's about when you graduate and you try and get a job, who's going to fucking snatch you up and what are your opportunities? Ivy League kids get recruited into massive jobs simply because they're Ivy League kids. Jeff, twice the money for the same education. You think Iowa State grads get the same consideration in the business world as Yale grads? Really? You do you? Come on, man. Don't be so short-sighted. It might be bullshit, but that bullshit actually has resonance in greater society. An Ivy League dude is never going to be managing a subway. Okay? It's just not going to happen. Unless he owns 15 of the subways. Anyway, there you go. Ivy League. Are you one of these anti-elitist Ivy? Are you fucking nuts? You can be an anti-elitist as I am. But you get that fucking education that those people are giving their kids. You get the same fucking education for your kid that those billionaires are getting for their kids. Because let me tell you, they're making sure their kids getting good educations. Not the same you could get, Jeff. It's twice the price for the same. Oh, shut up. Shut up. I hate the anti-intellectualism. I hate the hatred of things that are good. Look, just because all the rich assholes went to the Ivy League doesn't mean the Ivy League is bad. It means it's probably the best fucking option. Anyway, my kid ain't going to the Ivy League anyway. Because Jeff's right. We can't afford that shit. We can't afford that shit unless he gets a scholarship. And that's what we're talking. And we can't afford any of this shit he's talking about. You know how expensive SMU is? Holy crap. You know how expensive. He got to get a scholarship, either academic, which is, anyway, moving on. That's what we did this weekend. What'd you guys do this weekend? Look at me pretending this is a two-way conversation. It's not. Let's get started. All right. The Rant is a daily rundown of all the stuff that's happening in the world today. I do it in 4 quarters. First, we talk about the history of the day. Second, we talk about birthdays that occurred on this day. Thirdly, we talk about deaths on this day. I decide if they went to heaven or hell. And then what else do we do? Oh, then the hot topics. Quarter 4 is the hot topics. Nina says Trump is proof that an Ivy League school will just print a diploma if your daddy gives them enough money. That might be true. You buy a library. That's true. That's probably true. But the blue collar kids who go there, they got to fucking earn their stripes. So don't act like this people. What do you think the Ivy League is? God damn. Jeff out here shitting on the Ivy League. Adam says I'm a bit heavy on the womp womp button today. Yeah, I only have 4 sound effects and I use them at my leisure. All right, so that's it. Those are the 4 quarters of the show. Those are by the end of this show, which should conclude today, right around 2:00. Got a thing I got to do. At the end of this show, you should have a pretty good working understanding of what's happening today, tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, today, but in today's past history and all that stuff. What else? What else do we do this weekend? Anything? Football? We're going to talk a little football at the end of the show. Sorry, Adam. I hit the womp womp. Crazy weekend in college football. Watched a little college football on Saturday. In between me trying to scare straight my kid off of Florida by watching copious amounts of Aaron Hernandez television shows. Peter's wife agrees with the womp womp. Well, that's just going to make me womp womp even more. Maybe I'm in a womp womp mood. Maybe it's a womp womp Monday. All right, what do you say we get started? I need to finish doing something here. You guys sit tight. Talk amongst yourselves. Also watched Saturday Night Live on Saturday. And that started another fight with my kid, which... Hold on. I'll tell you about that fight really quickly. It was a stupid fight. That was like a dumb fight. So on Saturday Night Live over the weekend, Nate Bargatze, he hosted SNL this weekend. And I love Nate Bargatze. I think he's one of the funniest comedians out there working. He's got this dry, deadpan, befuddled kind of presentation. He's just so funny. And I made the statement. I said, Nate Bargatze's hosting SNL. He's a top 5 current comedian. And my kid looks at me and he goes, okay. He goes, give me your top 5. And I go, dude, I don't want to do a top 5 right now. I just told you that. It wasn't a conversation starter, although maybe I should have thought about it better. Maybe it is a conversation starter, but I didn't mean it. And he goes, you got him ranked higher than Shane Gillis? My kid says. My kid loves Shane Gillis. He goes, you got him ranked higher than Shane Gillis? I go, actually, I do. He's like, why? And I go, well, he's a bit more polished, and I didn't really have a good reason. I just kind of saw an opportunity to tweak him a little bit because I know he likes Shane Gillis. And I do too. I love Shane Gillis, but I don't know. So that started a fight. Let's go. Because then the monologue starts, right? And he's like, all right, I'll give this guy a chance. And my kid is sitting here already with a chip on his shoulder because he thinks by me saying Nate Bargatze is good, that somehow makes Shane Gillis worse. It doesn't. And I even turned to him. I go, dude, just because one person gets taller doesn't mean the other guy gets shorter. That's pretty good, isn't it? I think that's good. So he's watching the monologue, and Nate Bargatze is doing his monologue. It's real dry and it's deadpan. And the whole time I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, this is not a good example because it's dry. It's nuance. You've got to like get into the vibe and energy of what he's talking about. It's kind of rambling, but it rambles into funny things. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Meanwhile, my kid is sitting there, arms crossed, going, He ain't that funny. And then he got him. And then he laughed at something. He laughed at something. He goes, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I go, I know. I'm going to take that as a victory. So we moved on. All right. Leslie C says Nate was great on SNL. Sports Bras says crazy college football weekend and next weekend is slated to be even better. This, it speaks to football experts, what happened this past weekend. The top 25, top 10 got completely, it was crazy. We'll discuss that later. All right, let's get into today's show. Everything that you need to know about today delivered in a stream of consciousness rant by yours truly. It is the 7th day of October, or do you say Rocktober? You do if you're a dork. It is the 281st day of the year, and there are 85 more of these remaining until the end of the year. Let's get into Antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day is a segment that we do where we like to look back at history. We look for rhythms, we look for patterns, we look for anything that may predict what we're in for in the coming hours. Antecedently on this day in 1913, the Ford Motor Company introduces the first moving vehicle assembly line. That's a big deal. That was Henry Ford. Henry Ford was good at two things, hating Jews and, of course, getting his workers to pump out product faster than anybody. The assembly line debuted on this day in 1913. On this day in 1916, speaking of college football, the most one-sided football game in the history of college football was played. In 1916, the Georgia Tech, what are they, Ramblin' Wreck? Is that were they called that in 1916? I don't know. Aren't they bees? What is Georgia Tech's mascot? I don't know. 1916, Georgia Tech defeats Cumberland. Are you ready for this score? 222-0. That's an appropriate womp womp. Even Peter's wife can't complain about that one. 222-0. How's that even happen? Well, here's one of the ways. Georgia Tech scored a touchdown on every single first down. Wrap your mind around that concept. Every first down was a touchdown for Georgia Tech. There had to have been something else. Oh, yeah, here's a fun fact. The head coach of Georgia Tech, a gentleman by the name of John Heisman. That's right, John Heisman. I'm thinking they named a trophy after him. I'm not sure. I didn't click on that link, but it just doesn't make sense. Let's just go with it. It's the guy they named the Heisman after. I'm not sure. Might be his dad. Could be his son. On this day, antecedently in the year 1985, 4 men from the Palestinian Liberation Front hijack the Achille Laurel, which was a cruise ship off the coast of Egypt. This was a big international incident because they killed a Jewish American passenger by the name of Leon Klinghoffer. He was an old man in a wheelchair, and these Palestinian terrorists just threw him overboard. Leon, no, wait, no, you know what? There shouldn't be any sound effect. That's not good. We don't need a sound effect for the death of Leon Klinghoffer. That was antecedently on this day in 1985. On this day in 1988, a hunter discovers 3 gray whales trapped under ice near Alaska. The situation becomes a multinational global event. Now, I don't know that this is what freed Willy, what inspired the whole Free Willy thing, because I've never seen Free Willy. And not because, what do you mean you've never seen Free Willy? How about this? I was in my 20s when that kids movie came out, and I didn't have kids of my own. So I'm not seeing Free Willy. If I was seeing Free Willy, put me on a list. I was like 22 when that movie came out. You think I'm going to watch a movie about whales? A kids movie? So I don't know. I don't know what Free Willy's about. But I do know this. I do know that just before the Free Willy film phenomenon took off, there was a situation in the news about these whales. They got trapped. That was on this day in 1988. I don't know what kind of a fun fact this is. They had to kill one of the baby whales while they were rescuing it. They say they had to, but others are saying it was an accident. But whatever. They tried to justify it by going, no, we had to kill it. So they had to kill a baby whale. And then the rest of the whales, they got the whales free, but they don't know what happened to it. And they think that they may have died anyway. So... sorry, Adam. Dead whales get a womp womp. Antecedently on this day in the year 1998. Okay, change the tone. We got to change the tone on this one. This is not an upbeat story. On this day in 1998, Matthew Shepard, a gay student at the University of Wyoming, is found tied to a fence after being savagely beaten by two young adults in Laramie, Wyoming. He dies 5 days later. The Matthew Shepard story. This was a terrible story. This was like, even if you were in 1998, even if you were still like, Ellen shouldn't be on TV because she's gay. Even if you were like this was a terrible story. It was a terrible story that made even, the worst people go, ugh. We shouldn't do that to anybody. Why? He was just gay. That seems a bit terrible, terrible story. Matthew Shepard would become an icon, a name that is now branded in the gay struggle. And there it is. Happened on this day in 1998. On this day, antecedently, in the year 2001, the United States of America begins its Afghanistan invasion, starting what would become the longest war in the history of these here United States. And what we get? Nothing. We got nothing. We got nothing. You got nothing? We still got like a Taliban running. What was that about? We're going to take over their country and we're going to run the Taliban out and we're going to give them free elections. And now you guys got free elections. And oh my God, you voted for the Taliban again. Oh boy. 20 something years for us to kind of, I know there's like some bullshit phony like puppet government there, but really in the towns and in the, what do they call them? Counties. I don't know. They have subdivisions. In the actual day-to-day life in Afghanistan, it's still those crazy Taliban dudes who are in charge. Doesn't matter what, NATO says or what. No, we recognize that it's trouble. It's trouble over there, and it's always going to be trouble. Just ask the Russians. That was on this day in 2001, the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan began. On this day in 2003, last year, you're going to hear a lot about this other places. It's the Hamas attack on Israel. It's October 7th. We're living this right now. The top story of the day concerns this. So on this day, 1 year ago, Hamas and several other Palestinian militant groups launch an attack into Israel, which results in the deaths of over 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and taking more than 240 hostages, including civilians and soldiers. This is the attack that initiated the Israeli-Hamas war, which has been going on ever since. And now we're moving into another stage of the war, I guess, over there. We'll call this one the Israeli-Iran war, which we expect to follow the current Israeli-Hezbollah's war. Hezbollah's? Is that a word? I don't even know. All right, that was on this day in 2023. Let's move on to birthdays. As I said, we're going to talk a little bit more about that situation here as soon as we get into quarter four. Let's do birthdays. People born on this day. Born on this day in 1942, Joy Behar. She's the old lady on The View. Born on this day in 1942, Joy Behar. Joy Behar is interesting because what is she? 82? Was that 82? Let's just say 82. It's 180. Yeah, let's say she's 82. Let's say she's 82 today because I don't want to do math on the fly. She's 82 years old. Joy Behar has really only been famous for like 20, 25 years. Now, I know, look at Joy Behar in the 70s. She wasn't famous in the 70s, okay? Joy Behar wasn't Bette Midler in the 70s. She wasn't famous. She might have been doing club gigs and stuff, but she wasn't famous. She wasn't doing The Tonight Show. She wasn't famous until somebody said, hey, let's get an old lady stand-up comic from the New York scene who's never broken out nationally and put her on TV. And now we got Joy Behar. So my point is this. She's like 82 years old, 62. So she was like in her late 50s when she finally broke through. There's hope for all of us aging people. No, not really, though. Not really. I don't got a problem with Joy Behar. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, Joy Behar! Is it because of her politics? Whatever. Overlook that. She's kind of funny. Wait. She's kind of funny. I think she's kind of funny for an old lady. Like an old Jewish lady. How come she never did like a sitcom? How come she never played somebody's mom? How come she wasn't Raymond's mom, right? She could have done that. Not that I got a problem with Doris Roberts, who played Raymond's mom. Doris Roberts was fantastic. I'm just saying, Joy Behar doesn't seem to really capitalize on her View fame with anything else. Because everybody else on The View, you can go, oh, that's what they used to do, and that's how they got to The View. You can't do that with Joy Behar. You could say, oh, she's a stand-up comedian, but again, she wasn't famous. All right, moving on. Joy Behar, born on this day in 1942. That's not true. She did the Gong Show in 1970. Oh, shut up. Not antecedently. Born on this day in 1943, Oliver North. Another one. I don't know if he's a great American or a bad American. I don't know. I grew up in the 80s. It was like I was listening to adults scream both sides of it. He's a traitor. He's a hero. He's a traitor. He's Oliver North. And he's celebrating a birthday on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1951, one of my all-time faves, one of my all-time. I've seen this person in concert easily more than anybody else. Huh? I may have seen, like, aside from like local bands that you used to go see like every week, and I think maybe the Bottle Rockets. Now that I think about it, I think I may have seen the Bottle Rockets more than anybody else. But this guy's number two. This guy, of the big ones, of like the really big ones with like a whole bunch of hits that people can go name 5 hit you could do. Of the big ones, I've seen John Mellencamp more than anybody else. Love that dude. That dude has the heart of the Midwest pumping inside of him. He is the cornfield Springsteen. Gave me a cold beer once. The Orbit Room, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 97. Let's go with that. John Mellencamp had suffered a heart attack. He was working on a new album, which would go on to become Key West Intermezzo, which is a great John Cougar album. John Mellencamp, sorry, I still call him John Cougar. That is, in my opinion, I think it's my favorite one. I think it's my favorite John Mellencamp album. I think that's the one that's got Wild Nights. Remember the cover of Van Morrison? But it's also got I Saw You First. It's all, anyway, I don't want to go down the track list. I love John Mellencamp. Orbit Room. He was working on Key West Intermezzo, and he suffered a heart attack. And it was big news. It was big news. John Mellencamp has a heart attack. And so everything was put on hold. He had this whole tour that he was working on. And then he did a surprise show under the name The Moondoggies. The Moondoggies booked a gig at the Orbit Room in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Kenny Arnoff, who was his drummer, was a regular on our radio show, the morning show that we were on. And Kenny told us, he said, look, he goes, why don't you guys come out? We'll hang out with John. John's coming back. He's going to do a surprise show. It's Friday. He's doing a little club in Grand Rapids. So it was the Orbit Room show in Grand Rapids. John Cougar Mellencamp. And after the show, me and my friend Mike Chahara, who passed away. That's unfortunate. He drove there with me. We went backstage to hang out with Kenny, who, as I said, was a regular on our show. And it was the Orbit Room. So the backstage area wasn't like you're in an arena. It was like just a tiny room, in a little room. And there were these dudes sitting on couches, and there was a cooler of beer, and the door knocks and it opens up, and Kenny's sitting in there, and he's like, hey, and he like says hi to us. He's like, come on in. And suddenly it's like a Marx Brothers sketch where there's way too many of us in this small room. And all of a sudden the dude goes, hey boys, can I get you a beer? And it's John Mellencamp. It's John Mellencamp. He opens up the cooler. He grabs 2 ice cold beers, and he hands it to me and my friend Mike. We drank a beer, and then we left. I wasn't going to hang out in there. It was way too crowded, and I felt like I didn't belong, and he was really nice. Anyway, that was cool. I love John Mellencamp. Today is his birthday, born on this day in 1951, and yeah, he's a dick. Yeah, he'll fuck with. If you're a pretentious asshole, he will be difficult. If you think that you... Anyway, I love the guy. The guy's totally cool. Go make your Mellencamp Spotify list. He's one of those dudes that I think people are like, what? And then just track through a Spotify list. You haven't heard any of these songs in a long time. He doesn't get a lot of ubiquitous airplay. But go ahead, you listen to some of that. You listen to his Spotify playlist. It's fucking great. It's great. Born on this day in 1951, John Mellencamp, sharing a birthday with the great Melonhead, Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, the worst person in the world. Yeah, I said it. He's the worst person in the world. He's way worse than the Chinese guy, and he's got way more power than the North Korean guy. He's the worst person in the world. He's the worst. So fuck you, Vladimir Putin. Born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1955, gonna have to be careful about how I tell this next story because it's Yo-Yo Ma's birthday. Yo-Yo Ma. Who's Yo-Yo Ma? Born on this day in 1955. Yo-Yo Ma is the world's most celebrated cellist, classical cellist, American Chinese guy. He's American Chinese. He's not like just from China. He's like grew up in America. American Chinese dude. Actually, that's not true. I think he grew up in France. Point is this. He lived in France. And throughout the 80s and 90s, he became a mentor to a lot of the world's music prodigies. people who were cellists and fiddle players. I guess they don't call them fiddle at the prodigy level, but violinists. And so he was around a bunch of kids. He was around a bunch of kids. He would bring them over to his place, and he would, I guess ostensibly teach them how to be like him. So I had a friend. She went over there. She played the cello. She won a Yo-Yo Ma scholarship and got to go live on his French estate and all of that. And when she would talk about that, she would cry, and she gave up the cello, and she said things. All I'm saying is this: when the whole Me Too reckoning happened, I sat there and I went, wow, I wonder if any of these kids are going to come forward with Yo-Yo Ma stories. They didn't. I'm just telling you what my friend said. I'm just telling you the details, and they ain't good. They ain't good. Yo-Yo Ma, born on this day in 1955. One of his former students tells stories about him. Born on this day in 1959, Simon Cowell from American Idol, right? Isn't that how we know him? He also gave a bunch of boy bands to the world. Didn't he do all the British boy bands? Isn't he like the Lou Pearlman of the British boy bands? Simon Cowell made a lot of money being an asshole. And, whatever. It was at that time we started to, it really did. It started with the British asshole, with us sort of deifying the British asshole. Whether it's Gordon Ramsay or Simon Cowell, or do you remember the weakest link bitch? Remember her? You are the weakest link. You remember there was this period of time in America where we demonized and glorified the British asshole. And then that kind of became the American asshole. Then suddenly being an asshole became something that people were like, yeah, this is good for me, being an asshole. And now everybody's an asshole. And everybody can't be an asshole. Because if everybody's an asshole, then the world is just one giant butthole. Born on this day in 1959, Simon Cowell made a lot of money being an asshole. Born on this day in 1967, Toni Braxton. Ooh, she was hot, right? She was hot. Didn't like her music. Don't know any of her music. She's just like, whoa, bah. She's like a soul singer. That's not my thing. I don't like the R&B ballad chick singer. It's just not a thing for me. Unless they're gonna do some kind of vocal Olympics where it's okay, that's undeniable. Did you hear that? Then it's okay. That's like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin territory. I don't know that Toni Braxton ever made it there. She's hot though. Remember how tiny she was? She was tiny and she had that little pixie haircut. I like Toni Braxton. Born on this day in 1967. Born on this day in 1968, Thom Yorke. Thom Yorke is the lead singer of Radiohead, and he always struck me as a Martin Short character. He looks like he's a Martin Short character. Oh, Mr. Popular. I don't know who that is. Somebody calling me. We'll check that out after the show. We'll see who that is. Didn't come up as spam. Didn't come up as a political call. Just came up as a number of somebody I don't know. And it was a normal number. Sometimes you look at the phone and it's like 888-631-1500. It's that's a bullshit number. This one was 469-212-8743. It was like a normal number. Born on this day in 1968, Thom Yorke, lead singer of Radiohead. It's another. Was this a period of? Well, no, I guess that's not true because I think Mick Jagger is one of the freakiest looking people ever, and yet people think he's hot. But Thom Yorke is not an attractive lead singer for a band. Radiohead. He seems to have a lazy eye. It's just not it's a weird. As I said, Thom Yorke from Radiohead always reminded me of a Martin Short character. Born on this day in 1968, Thom Yorke, and he spells it the dumb way. He spells it the THOM way. It's spelled TOM, Tom. Born on this day in 1969, Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown. Born on this day in 1969. Which Bobby Brown am I talking about, right? Hold on. Because there's Bobby Brown, hold on. There's Bobby Brown. There's a really famous makeup person named Bobby Brown. There's a really famous. Where is it? There you go. Hold on. Do I get a good one here? Yeah. Here we go. There's Whitney Houston's husband, Bobby Brown. There's that guy. That guy's good. And And then there's this Bobby Brown. This is the Bobby Brown whose birthday it is. This is the Bobby Brown from the Warrant video. She's my cherry pie. Yeah, we all knew her name, all of us horny dudes. Yeah, look at her right there. Oh my God. Do you remember the cherry pie video for Warrant? First of all, Janie Lane married her. There's Janie Lane, the lead singer of Warrant. He ended up marrying that piece. It only lasted like a year and a half. Sorry, Peter's wife and Adam. Anyway, Cherry Pie was a garbage song by a garbage band that was just milking a garbage genre. That's right. I said it. I said the other day, there's only like 3 real Sunset Strip bands that, get a pass. It's Quiet Riot, Iron Maiden, and they're not really Sunset Strip bands. You give them a pass. You give Motley Crue a pass because they broke it. Motley Crue broke it. Like, Motley Crue was the one that went, let's do it this way. And then also Guns N' Roses gets a pass because they did their own thing. But everything else, there was so much garbage that was just watered down Motley Crue. And that's what Warrant was. Warrant wasn't even watered down Motley Crue. Warrant was watered down Poison, which was watered down Motley Crue, which, I don't know what that was. Anyway, so they do the video for Cherry Pie. If I'm being honest, not a bad song. Not a bad song. She's my cherry pie. And they just put the lead singer's girlfriend in the video. And she's really hot. And every young man in America goes, she's now the hottest person on the planet for the next 6 months. What does she look like now? Well, she dated Leonardo DiCaprio? Of course. She's my cherry pie. Yeah, she was something. She was 80s special. Look at her. Yeah, she's good. All right, there you go. Warrant, cherry pie girl, having a birthday today. Leslie says Cinderella. What about Cinderella? You say we give Cinderella a pass? I don't really think of Cinderella as a Sunset Strip band, but okay. And if we are considering Cinderella a Sunset Strip band, because I'm sure they did. I'm sure they went to Los Angeles, but aren't they from the East Coast? I would absolutely give Cinderella a pass. Cinderella is a great band with a stupid name and an immensely talented leader. Tom Kiefer, right? Tom Kiefer, that dude is so talented. That dude is great. Frankie says Cherry Pie was in rotation at Duke's and Addison and strip clubs prior to 2012. Yeah, that makes sense. I sure would. All right, there you go. That was enough Bobby Brown. Man, I was reminded of how hot that video was in the Hulu documentary series. Don't need nothing but a good... I can't even sing. But a good time. I can't sing because of my voice. They showed basically the whole Warrant Cherry Pie video and then talked about what they were going for. And you know what they were going for? Exactly what they got. A whole bunch of horny 18-year-olds. That's what they were going for with that video, and that's what they got. There was no subtlety, no nuance to Cherry Pie. Excuse me. The voice is really being a problem today. I do apologize. All right. Born on this day, 1969, Bobby Brown. Born on this day in 1986, someone who I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of this person. We have a mutual friend. I've never met him, but we have a mutual friend. I watched him play high school football at South Lake Carroll. Then I had sort of an interest in him as I watched him, go into the pros. He played for my Bears. I think he played for the Cowboys. He played for just about every team. He is a Hall of Famer at the bank. That is a title that I give to certain backup quarterbacks who spend like 10 years in the league collecting backup veteran quarterback wages and almost never have to have anything bad happen to him. That's who we're talking about here. Born on this day in 1986, the pride of South Lake Carroll, and an incredibly good analyst, Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel is such a great breaker-downer of quarterback play. And it's interesting because, he was a serviceable quarterback who played 10 years. He's not Tom Brady. He's fine. But man, does that guy do great quarterback analysis. Chase Daniel, born on this day in 1986. I love that dude. Born on this day in 1992. Mookie Betts. Mookie. He's in the conversation, right? He's in the conversation of best players in baseball. I mean, it's a short conversation because somebody just has to say Shohei, and then the conversation it's over. But eliminating Shohei, Mookie Betts is certainly in the conversation best players in Major League Baseball. Now, he's also black, which is interesting because there ain't no black Major League Baseball players. Actually, there's a lot of black Major League Baseball players. What there aren't a lot of are African American baseball players. Baseball is filled with dudes who look like brothers, but they're all from Cuba. They're all from South America. None of them grew up in the suburbs of Cleveland, right? That's not really a thing. Used to be in the 60s. Once they let why'd you let him? No. Once the color barrier was broken, we had all kinds of African-American young men coming into the Major League Baseball ranks. I mean, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks, Lou Brown, all of these guys. And the flood continued through the 1970s and into the 1980s. And then it stopped. There was a time a couple of years ago when there was only 3 African Americans in all of baseball. I think it was Tim Anderson, Mookie Betts, and like some other dude. And that was it. All the other. So that's interesting. So what does that tell us? Well, it just proves that the black is a superior athlete. It just proves it because there are so few of them, and we still have to consider Mookie Betts one of the best in baseball. Mookie Betts, born on this day, year of our Lord, 1992. All right, let's move on to quarter 3. These are the deads, people who've died. All right, Ed, Radio Misfit Ed, he's poking around in the computer. Is there something wrong with the sound? Did we do something wrong? I don't know. There he is. Hi, Ed. He just activated the camera. And whatever. He's fine. He's allowed to do this, and I'm not allowed to get distracted by it because we're all good. All right, let's do the deads. Dead on this day, year of our Lord, 1849, Edgar Allan Poe. Nevermore. The Ravens. The reason that the Baltimore Ravens are known as the Ravens. Edgar Allan Poe, of course, a fine son of Baltimore, Maryland. They got statues of him. They got streets named for him. Where did Edgar out? Telltale Heart. Oh, my God. There's so many great stories. He's in hell because he was, even by his age standards, he was a weird guy. He was like a goth dude. So he's probably in hell, Edgar Allan Poe. All right, let's see here. Dead on this day in 1991, Leo DeRocher, Leo the Lip. I don't know that Leo DeRocher was a great baseball manager. I think he's credited with the Miracle Mets. Wasn't he the manager in '69? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know that. I think maybe he was a Brooklyn Dodger as a player. I don't know. Here's what I know. Leo DeRocher will forever be known as one of the most high-profile managers in baseball because the Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny cartoons decided to immortalize him in a number of their cartoons. Whenever there was a baseball situation, they always introduced the Leo the Lip, Leo DeRocher character. He's going to hell. We're going to put him in hell. He died on this day in 1991. Leo DeRocher, Leo the Lip. He was a Cubs manager. He was managed a bunch of teams. And I want to say the Miracle Mets, but I'm too lazy to click on the Wikipedia link and do the research. So I'm going to leave that to you. Leo DeRocher, he's a baseball manager. He went to hell. I just think that anybody who was involved in sports in that era probably did some shit where they should go to hell. Dead on this day in 2005. Here's an interesting one for Gen X. This is a bummer, man. This is a bummer. Dead on this day in 2005, a guy by the name of Charles Rocket. Charles Rocket was not his real name. Charles Rocket, his real name was like something weird, something French, but he was Charles Rocket. He was also known for a period of time as Charles Hamburger. He was a comedian, he was a sketch comedy performer, and he was an actual television news reporter. He had worked as a reporter in a number of small markets before getting hired in 1980-81 to be one of the cast members of Saturday Night Live. That's right, Charles Rocket would go on Saturday Night Live. This was the Gene Domanian era of Saturday Night Live. People, non-SNL historians don't understand this era. In 1980, Lorne Michaels and the entire first cast of Not Ready for Primetime Players left the show. They all left. Everybody, Belushi, Aykroyd, Gilded, Lorraine Newman, everybody left. And Lorne Michaels left. Lorne Michaels said, okay, NBC's screwing with me. I don't need this. I'm going to go do other things. So Lorne Michaels left, and they appointed Dick Ebersol and to run the show on a day-to-day basis, a woman by the name of Jean Domanion. She was awful. She was terrible. Everybody hated her. She was more corporate suit than creative. And Lorne Michaels was a very creative friendly and very, she wasn't that. She, was always on budget and on time and all that kind of shit. And she hired a whole new cast of people, all forgettable. And unless you're, a member of the Denny Dillon fan club, they were all forgettable. Eddie Murphy, not so much, and Joe Piscopo, that's about it. But the others were Charles Rocket, and Gilbert Gottfried was a member of that cast. This was the new wiping the slate clean 1980 cast. Charles Rocket was the breakout star. Before Piscopo and before Eddie Murphy, Charles Rocket was the one that Jean Domanion thought was going to be the big breakout. She called him a combination of Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, which he was certainly neither. And then they did a long, extended show that was hosted by Charlene Tilton of Dallas, right? She played Lucy. On the show, SNL, hosted by Charlene Tilton with the new cast and the new producers, they had a running bit concerning the Who Shot JR situation that she was involved in. Charlene Tilton, that was like a national phenomenon, Who Shot JR. So Charlene Tilton's hosting, and they decide, let's do this episode-long running joke. We'll keep doing callbacks to the whole situation. So in one of the sketches, Charles Rocket was shot, and you didn't get to see who shot him. And at the end of the show, when the cast comes out on stage to say, good night, everybody, thank you for joining. We want to thank our musical guests. When they do that whole thing at the end of the show, Charles Rocket was there with Charlene Tilton, and Charles Rocket was in a wheelchair because in a previous sketch he had been shot. So this is what Charles Rocket did on live TV back then on that night. Here it is. Oh, let's see if we can get this good. All right, let me get good sound. Here we go. Start from the beginning.
Charlie, how are you feeling after you've been shot?
Oh man, it's the first time I've ever been shot in my life. I'd like to know who fucking did it.
All right. So here you go. Now you get the reactions are what I find most interesting. Of course, he said fucking did it. She said, Charles, you've been shot. And he said, hey, all I know is I just want to know who fucking did it, right? He says it on live TV. Let's watch it one more time. The reactions. Eddie Murphy, who's standing right behind him. Eddie Murphy's like,
Charlie, how are you feeling after you've been shot?
Oh man, it's the first time I've ever been shot in my life. I'd like to know who fucking did it.
So Eddie Murphy is right here. Eddie Murphy's like, ooh, Gilbert Gottfried, even, he's there. She doesn't know what to do. Denny Dillon, you never see her again. I'm interested in his face. What does he think? Does he know? Now, here's the story, and I'm going to tell you the real story, okay? So the real story on that is that Charles Rocket was being hyped as the big star of Saturday Night Live, and then he said the F word on live TV, and they fired him, and his career was never the same. That's not really what happened. Maybe it looks like that, but I'm telling you, you will get into arguments with people who think they know, and they'll be like, he got fired from Saturday Night Live for saying the S word. No, he did not get fired from Saturday Night Live for saying the S word or the F word. What happened was he did that. That occurred after midnight. The FCC has a thing called safe harbor. You can say whatever the hell you want during safe harbor. Nobody does. It's self-policing, and they make sure that, regular over-the-air TV doesn't have F words after midnight, but they can. So that wasn't a problem, even though America was like, oh, he said the F word, he's got to be fired. What happened was the next week, they just did a normal show, and he was there. The next week, a normal show. And then the next week, there was a writer's strike, and the show was canceled for the rest of the season because of the writer's strike. Then, in the summer, Jean Domanion was fired as the executive producer, and they fired her entire cast that she handpicked, with the exception of Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy, and then the show was recast. And it would go on under Lorne Michaels, okay? Charles Rocket did not get fired for saying the F word on Saturday Night Live. He was on the next week. And then a writer's strike canceled the rest of the season, and then in the summer, they overhauled the entire show. He was just swept out with all of the Gene Dominion people. He wasn't fired because of that. Now, his career would suffer because of that, because people just, oh, he's obscene, he's vulgar. He had a difficult time getting roles. He would appear in Max Headroom. He did a couple of movies. I think he was in Dumb and Dumber, played like the bad guy in Dumb and Dumber. But he finally ended his life. He ended his own life on this day in 2005 in one of the most awful ways imaginable. Charles Rocket was found dead in a field on his Connecticut property on October the 7th, 2005, with his throat slit. He was 56 years old. 10 days later, the state medical examiner ruled the death as suicide. The police investigation determined that there was no criminal aspect at all to the crime. He slit his own throat in a cornfield. Oh my goodness. I'm putting that dude in heaven. He seems like he was going through some stuff on this plane of existence, and I'm going to offer him something better in the next life. Holy cow, Charles Rocket. All right, there you go. That's all of it. That's the deads. That's this. That's that. Let's get into quarter four, huh? Quarter four are all the big things, all the events that are shaping our understanding of today. Let's get rid of the dead people. I got to get rid of that. Frank says Leonardo DiCaprio was on an episode of The Manhunter. Leo was... Oh, not Leonardo DiCaprio. Frank talking about Leo DeRocher. Leo DeRocher was on an episode of The Munsters and Mr. Ed. Yeah, probably. He also says Leo, Hall of Fame manager and 4-time World Series champion. All right, so I guess he was good. Leslie says I was right. Cinderella is from Philadelphia. Yeah, I knew they were an East Coast band, but also by that token, Poison, right? Poison is from the Philly suburbs. So, but they're different. Poison, like, they went out to the Sunset Strip and they basically began to define what that second generation after Motley Crue was going to be, which is just derivative nonsense. Okay, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that to Poison, because my personal feelings towards Bret Michaels, I think he's a D-bag. So my personal feelings towards Bret Michaels shouldn't really affect that band, because fact of the matter is that Poison has some songs that are just terrific pop songs. They're not Zeppelin. But they are great pop songs. And they are pop songs that were commercially successful. And you got to give credit to somebody who's able to sit down, look at a blank piece of paper and go, I'm just going to, when I'm done with this piece of paper, it's going to be worth $20 million to me for the rest of my, that I admire. That's creative. That's artistic. That's someone who's able to, he's printing money. That's awesome. So I don't, and I do have some regard for the pop song crafting of Poison, but they were just dudes in dresses and makeup and acting tough. I never understood that. So what are you, tough, or are you going to make us late for dinner because you're doing your eyeliner? Which one is it? Which one is it, boys and Poison? I'm not sure. I'm a little confused. Peter says Paramount Plus has the hair metal documentary. I've probably been saying Hulu, right? Yeah, Paramount Plus. Don't need nothing. See, I can't sing. The voice is gone. That is the worst. All right, let's keep going now. Quarter four, this is where we talk about all the things that are happening today, the stuff that you need to know about. Israel. Okay, so it is the anniversary of the October 7th attacks that occurred last year. A lot of us, when we think back about that, we think of the music festival. It's just that the music festival is where the attack occurred with the highest concentration of people who had phones out filming. But those attacks took place all along that area. They went into what do they call those things? What do they call them? Little towns. They're called something in the Jewish settlements. I can't think of it. Anyway, it wasn't just at the music festival. It was all over. It was terrible. As I say, 1,200 plus people were killed. There's still hundreds of people who are been held hostage. A number of Americans are over there, been held hostage. Since then, of course, there has been just the outcry of the global observers over Israel's retaliation against Hamas, which is now entering its second year as of today. Look, they took the muzzle off the dog. And Israel acted accordingly. Still troubled by it. I don't really have any hardened political takes about, are we pro-Israel or pro-Hamas? I don't. It's way too complicated, and I'm not going to dedicate the time that it takes to truly understand both sides of that situation. So I'm just going to say it's ugly and war is ugly. That's what you get from me. That's the kind of rant you get from me. I'm not going to ever put myself in a position to be Secretary of Defense, so you don't have to worry about me, okay? That's not my bag, not my area of expertise. What is your area of expertise? Schizophrenic me, the man inside my head, asks. I don't know. You know what? I'm starting. Fried chicken is becoming an area of expertise. I made fried chicken for my kid over the weekend, and it was fantastic. Other than that, I'm stumped as far as area of expertise. So all weekend long, we were expecting some kind of retaliation from Israel towards Iran. Iran sent a bunch of missiles into Tel Aviv and some of the settlements last week. And Iran was like, oh, Iran's going to respond. And Iran's like, we're going to respond. Or Israel was like, we're going to respond. And Israel hasn't yet, unless they're doing it now. Let me see. Let me quickly check the news headline. I don't have any alerts, so it doesn't say that they're nothing yet. Nothing yet. Anyway, the world waits with bated breath on the response between Israel and Iran. So we'll see. In this the anniversary, so I don't know. These anniversaries, I always think, oh, it's the anniversary, great time for big bad terror attacks. But that never happens. And that never happens on the anniversary. It doesn't. We've never had a significant terror attack on September 11th that wasn't, 2001. Have we? I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't seem like it. So anyway, there are warnings here in the United States. Apparently, there is some credible evidence that Muslim terror groups will seek to commemorate the 1-year anniversary by perpetrating some form of terror in the United States. But like I said, I don't know. I don't know. I'm here in the design district in Dallas. I don't know if I'm a target. I don't know. Whatever. That's the problem, though. That's the thing about terror, right? Nobody is safe. Moving on. Sorry, my voice really bad. Jeez Louise. I'm going to have to get through this. The other big story, we're looking at Hurricane Milton, the nerd hurricane. Hurricane Milton is a hurricane that is formed. It's a Category 4 now, they're saying, going to hit Tampa on Wednesday. Wednesday evening, it looks like right in prime time, Hurricane Milton. Like a TV exec, Hurricane Milton knows exactly when to hit landfall in America. Prime time on a Wednesday night. Milton, of course, is following in the heels of Helene because it's hurricane season. There's also another one forming behind Milton that nobody wants to get into yet, but they're also pointing that out because it's hurricane season. Even though one of the dudes running for president keeps making speeches about how nobody expected Helene. Not only they expected, they predicted it like 2 weeks out because, you dumbass, it's hurricane season. Stop telling people this has something to do with the libs controlling the weather, which he's not doing directly, but other people are. Stop it. It's hurricane season. Hurricane Milton is coming. They're saying it's going to be big, and it's going to directly hit Tampa. At least that's what they're saying today on Monday. We've got 2 days. Let's see. Can we see Hurricane Milton? I always like to see if we can see it just on basic Google. Here we go. It's basic Google Maps. Let's see what we got. See if we got Hurricane Milton. So Milton means that we're in the M's, right? Because every storm gets a letter, an alphabetized letter. Helene was a couple of weeks ago, H. So that means we had an I that fizzled out, a J, a K, and an L that all fizzled out. Milton follows Helene. There it is. All right. Let's take a look at what it looks like right now. All right, there's our Earth. Boom. Look at us. All right, so where is Milton? I'm guessing this is Milton. It's coming this way. Is it Milton? Can we get any closer? Look at that, man. A lot of yeah, okay, so this is it. They say it's coming this. Is it coming this way? Do you know where these things start? Oh, is this the other one they're looking at? I think maybe this is the other one they're looking at. But check this out. So this is where these things come from. So they come from here. See all this shit right here in Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Lagos, Ghana, this area? This is where the hurricanes form. Like all the hurricanes that we deal with, they come from here. And then they pick up speed and they go this way. And then they come through the Caribbean. Whoop, and then they hit here. Or they hit here. Whatever. Milton. They're not even dug out yet from Helene, and we got Hilton. Nobody knew. Who would? What? It's also, remember Katrina? It's hurricane season, okay? It happens twice a year. I know you just came through it in April, and you're like, well, hurricane season's done for the year. No, it's twice. It's twice a year when the weather changes. See, because that's when the temperature of the water changes. Oh, God, you got to explain this shit. Jewish space lasers. Stop it. The libs are not controlling the weather. They can't even control Hollywood anymore. They've lost track of their ability to even maintain their secrets. Look at Diddy. Look at Me Too. All right, moving on. That's going to do it. So Hurricane Helene, we'll be watching it. Not me, but other people will. Other people, news people. They'll be watching Helene in Wednesday. I imagine it'll be a story on Wednesday. We'll talk about it then again, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Anyway, Hurricane Milton is following Helene, should make landfall around Tampa Bay, 8 p.m. Wednesday evening. Verizon, any Verizon customers out there? If you're a Verizon customer, you had some problems today. Verizon had widespread outages, although it doesn't say, I'm looking at this map here, it doesn't say that Texas had much of a problem. New York, the East Coast, Washington, D.C. Verizon went down across the United States on Monday morning, leaving users unable to make phone calls, send text messages, or surf the web. Down Detector, a site that monitors online outages, showed issues began about 8 a.m. Eastern Time with customers reporting mobile phone and internet services not working. Customers in New York City and Washington, D.C., but also Phoenix, had the highest concentration of reported issues. It says it touched just about every other state, but those were the big places. 69% of Verizon users were down for at least 1 hour. 69%. So there you have it. Verizon. Is it back up? I don't know. You guys got Verizon? Anybody watching on Verizon? They fix it pretty quick. But it is funny. It is funny how people just absolutely panic at the notion of having to live like it's 1988. People oh, my phone, I couldn't live without my phone. This is why we here in Generation X and some millennials and a few remaining boomers, this is why we are special people. We are special because we existed in both worlds, both timelines, if you will. The computer, the introduction to the computer and things that we can do digitally, surfing the web, having Google, having all the information in the world just at our voice commands. We lived in a world that didn't have that. We lived and thrived in a world that was just normal. We didn't have phones. When we went out in our car to venture out into the world and something happened, we had to walk to a payphone and then have change and then hope that the payphone didn't have bum shit smeared on it. It was not a problem for us. That's just how we lived. Now, some people lost their Verizon service for an hour and it was like the end of the world. I'm telling you, Gen X, some millennials, and some remaining boomers were the only people who understand both worlds, who know that if the computers all went down, we'd be fine. We'd be fine. It would be, look, by today's standards, we'd have some inconveniences, but they're all inconveniences that we used to deal with. We didn't even know they were inconveniences. We just called them life as we know it. Al Gamboa with some breaking Hurricane Milton news. He says Hurricane Milton is now a Category 5 hurricane and headed towards Florida. Whew. Adam says Hurricane Rita was soon after Katrina, and Hoyson freaked out. All right, so breaking news. Breaking news, it's been upgraded. Milton, big old nerd hurricane, was that's not a great Milton. Well, I would probably have a problem. What, couldn't be Hurricane Mike? Couldn't be Hurricane Mike, Hurricane Marty? You couldn't have done that? All right. So Verizon. Sorry if you have Verizon. Sorry you were forced to live in the 1980s for an hour this morning. It must have been hell, but we did okay. We got through it. Taylor and Travis. Let's talk about this. Are Taylor and Travis still an item? Tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. I had it in there. I just had to think about it. This is going to be a big game. It was a big game for a number of reasons. Chief among them, will Taylor be there? That's what people want to know. Will Taylor be there? Why are they wondering that? They have not been seen in public together for over 2 weeks. They've not been seen in public together for over 2 weeks. And last weekend, was Travis Kelce's birthday, and he had a big birthday party. Taylor wasn't there. Oh, man. She wasn't there. She didn't appear on a big screen. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she, sent him a, what do they call that? FaceTime. Maybe she FaceTimed him during the party. We don't know. As far as the media knows, as far as the media is reporting, Taylor Swift did not attend Travis Kelce's birthday party. Now, there are some people saying, well, it's just because she's in Houston practicing for her tour. She's this whole big tour week coming up, and she's, she couldn't get away and all that. But still, people are like, oh, if she was in love, she's Taylor Swift. She would be there. She would totally be there. When you saw those two people at the U.S. Open at the end of last month, and they're hanging on each other and all that, they looked very happy. That was not two people who would miss the other's birthday. Just not. So, will Taylor Swift be attending tonight's game? Oh, we all want to know. Every 15-year-old girl in America and me want to know. Because if she's not there, she wasn't at his birthday, she's not at his game, trouble in paradise is all I'm saying. All right, so what else do we have? The Supreme Court of the United States of America took a look at R. Kelly's appeal and said, piss off. I love that. I don't know. I just think that's a natural joke. It's just there. You got to say it. Supreme Court, R. Kelly is trying, and they said, piss off to R. Kelly. See, because R. Kelly was accused of doing. Anyway, I don't need to explain it to you. The Supreme Court will not hear arguments in the child sex convictions of R. Kelly. They will not. Told him to piss off. It's a good joke. I'll say it a bunch of times. It's a good joke. Donald Glover is making the news, and this has people like me concerned. Donald Glover is one of my favorite creatives of this era. Donald Glover is a genius. Donald Glover is brilliant. Donald Glover is he's like a very successful hip-hop artist, and not only that, but a relevant and boundary-pushing hip-hop artist. And then he's a comedian who does sitcoms where he's just really funny in these sitcoms. Then he's a writer. He's a show creator and showrunner of his own sitcom that is like this massive, massive artistic success. Everybody loves Atlanta. Anyway, I love him. I think he's terrific. I think he's an absolute genius of our time. And I'm sure that he's like 10 years younger than me. I'll get to see his whole career, basically. Like, if I live to be 80 and he's like in his 70s, I will have seen all the truly great Donald Glover stuff, and that's a treat for me, and then I can die. However, let's hope he doesn't die first. He is canceled. Donald Glover has canceled his, that was Chicago. How Chicago was that? He canceled. He canceled his tour. Now I got to do the whole story like I'm reporting it from Chicago. Donald Glover cancels Childish Gambino tour dates over health issues. It says here, seriously though, I hope that he's okay. Donald Glover has canceled the remaining dates of the Childish Gambino's North American tour. The musician, actor, and Atlanta creator announced on Friday that he recently had discovered an ailment that required surgery. After his New Orleans show on September the 7th, he sought tests at a hospital and canceled a Houston show the following night. In a note on X, he did not elaborate on his condition. My path to recovery is something I need to confront seriously. Glover wrote, adding that he needed time to. Oh, God, pop up just ruined it. Adding that he needed time out to heal. The New World Tour is Childish Gambino's first tour since 2019. The run began on August 11th in Oklahoma City and was to hit many major North American cities before moving to Europe, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. The cancellation affects over 30 scheduled tour dates in North America and the UK and Europe. I want nothing. Here's what he says now. This is Childish Gambino, or as you know, if you know him, as Donald Glover. Here's Donald Glover. I want nothing more than to bring this show to the fans and perform. Glover wrote. Until then, thanks for love, privacy, and support. Donald Glover. Donald Glover, ladies and gentlemen. What's wrong with you? What's drugs? Please tell me it's drugs. Because if it's drugs, I feel like he can get better and he can go back to the. But please don't be something serious. I mean, I know drugs are serious, but not for a guy like you. If you were to tell me, like, come on, John Mulaney had a serious drug problem. You got to take it care of. Took a little time off. He's sleeping with Olivia Munn. He's fine. You can do the same thing. Donald Glover. Thank you, Frank. Frank's like, great Chicago accent. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. That's how I would talk if I hadn't gone to journalism and broadcasting school, where I learned to not talk like that. By the way, also to all my Chicago friends, there you go. Nah, you keep telling yourself y'all don't have an accent. You just keep telling yourself that. We ain't got no accent here in Chicago. Everybody else is the ones just talking funny. Yeah, that's what it is. That's it. Let's see here. What else do we have? Donald Glover. Okay, we're hoping he's okay. The porn industry is getting involved in the election. The porn industry is getting involved in this new election. If you use the porn here in Texas, I don't think we're not allowed to use porn in Texas, right? And they shut us down. They're like, it's back to Playboy magazines and sex clubs for you, Texans. Is it like Pornhub and all these other ones that are now blocked? Something like that. But everywhere else in the world where men are allowed to explore their bodies freely and without the judgment of the government, everywhere else in the world or in the country, Pornhub and the other major porn producers are running political ads before your session, before you do what you do, pop-ups. These ads are a coming together. No, jeez. Pun intended, coming together of all of, which is something you rarely see in adult films. You rarely see them coming together. It's always, my turn, your turn, or so I understand. I'm a good Christian man. Anyway, it's about Project 2025. Project 2025 is this supposed Republican agenda that was put together by a whole bunch of people. It's stupid. Don't bother reading it. Anyway, it's an issue that they're using to divide and all this kind of stuff. It seems pretty bad, and I think the psychos who put it together ought to be kept as far away from government as possible, but whatever. I don't know how real it is. We're not getting into the veracity of the charges against Project 2025. I don't care. It's one of those issues that we don't talk about here. But apparently inside the Project 25 is a call to ban all pornography in the United States and imprison pornography producers and workers. They're going to put porn stars in jail. What? How about put them under house arrest? How about this? Here's an idea. Just floating this by. And this is the kind of shit Trump's administration might go for. So if he wins, like this kind of dumb shit that they'd be like, that makes sense. How about we do this? How about we don't put porn stars in jail? How about we make porn stars come to live with single dudes? How about that? House arrest at my place. That's right, Riley Reid. You're staying there. Stuff like that. Maybe that. We don't need to clog up our prison systems. There are plenty of single or some married couples. I don't judge. If you're a married couple and you want, I was trying to think of another porn star's name. I'm out. Riley Reid. Who else? I don't know. Who else? Ginger Lynn? No, she's too old. I don't know. Let's keep using Riley Reid in the example. All right, so I'm just saying that I bet you there are a lot of men out there who would open up their homes and take Riley Reid in for like a year and basically just give her the full prison experience. I'm sure that that's something that could be done, saving the taxpayer dollars. Anyway, Project 2025 wants to throw porn stars in jail, and they want to put the people behind the porn industry in jail, and they want to shut it down because they're all about freedoms and liberty and personal choices and all that stuff. They're not at all about mandating morals or their particular interpretation of morals, all that. No, they're not into that. They're about freedom, flag waving, and all that stuff, and putting porn stars in jail. So stupid. Here's the story. I'll give you the details. The porn industry has jumped into the presidential campaign targeting Project 2025. Just when you thought everyone had already jumped into the 2024 campaign, here comes the porn stars. 17 pornographic film actors on Monday announced that they had launched a $100,000 ad campaign on porn sites, warning that Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation blueprint for a Republican administration in the second Trump term, that has been a centerpiece of some Democratic campaigns. 2025 wants to ban pornography and imprison people who produce and act in it. The online ads will run in the states that will decide the presidency. So they're only targeting. Okay, so even if we could get porn here in Texas because freedom, can't have porn here in Texas because freedom, because we're the freedom state. We're the Texans and we like our freedoms, and freedoms is first. Except when it comes to pot and porn. No pot, no porn. Because Texas. You people, you Texans, you lifelong Texans, you're also being manipulated to such an extent. You don't even know. Freedom. We're all about freedom. Killing things we don't like. Kill it. It's different. So the porn stars are going to target these swing states. North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada with their porn ads. So if you can still get porn here in Texas, I guess you're not going to be bothered with the ads because they're like, fuck Texas, that ship has sailed. All right, moving on. What else do we have here? By the way, today I almost did a Texas flag. I almost had a Texas flag popped up in my options of like backgrounds that you want. And I'm like, I should start doing a Texas flag. And then the Texas flag had like pop-up ads. And I was like, no! So we're sticking with the American flag. Some people got attacked by a bear. This is a crazy story. This happened in southern Colorado. Check this out. So this dude, Sunday night, he's just watching TV with his wife. They're old people. They're like in their 80s. And they just live like, mountains. I don't know, maybe. And here's what's important. They live in a place where bears roam free. Okay, so they're living out there, a couple of old people. And their sliding glass door into their kitchen gets smashed. And they're probably, I don't know, watching the Matlock reboot or something in the living room. And they come running in and they see a gigantic grizzly bear and like 4 other like little baby bears. Not baby bears, but they were like young bears. They weren't babies, but they were young. They were bears that could still fuck you up. Like teenage bears. The worst kind of bears. Teenage bears. So they're in the kitchen now. And the old people are like, ah! And the old woman, she went and she ran in the bedroom. She closed the door and she left the old man because that's just it when you're a dude. A lifetime of the convenience of being able to pee anywhere you want. That's great. But when a bear breaks into your house, your wife gets to run away and you got to fight that bear. So, it's a give and a take. So the dude is there and he's fighting 5 bears, mama bear and like 14 bears. And he's got like a bar stool that he's using. And apparently the bear knocks the bar stool and then just like mauls him, like just knocks him down, just like boom, like knocks this old man down. Somehow the bear starts playing with him and the old man gets away and he runs into the bedroom. He gets led in the bedroom. And then they locked themselves in the bedroom. And then the police came. Apparently they had a phone in there and the police came. And guess what the police did? The police killed all the bears. Killed them all. Killed them all right there in the house. Boom, 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 boom. Killed all the bears. Now, for some of you, you're like, oh, why'd they kill the bears? They were just doing what bears do. No, they weren't. Bears don't do that. Bears don't know. Bears don't spend time in kitchens. That's not what bears do. They had to kill these bears because apparently when a bear gets it in his head that humans have kitchens and refrigerators and they have food, that bear, no matter what happens, that bear will be back. That bear is coming back and it's going to do it again. And so they have to kill the bear. So they have to kill the bear because this bear now knows that humans have food and aren't just food. Crazy story. Reminds me, remember, I've told you this. I'm never going to live anywhere. Okay, my rules. Look, I'm a Midwestern kid. We got tornadoes. I'm comfortable with tornadoes. You can get out. Your house has to stay still, but at least you can get out of the way of the tornado. So I can deal with tornadoes. Grew up on the south side of Chicago, so abject street crime and violence, not a problem. I know how to avoid that too. That's not a real issue. I will never live anywhere where there are earthquakes. I will never live anywhere where there are hurricanes. I will never live anywhere where when I'm walking the dog, I have to look out for three things: rattlesnakes, gators, or bears. That's pretty much it. I'll live anywhere else. No hurricanes, no earthquakes, no bears, gators, or snakes. Killer snakes. Regular snakes are fine, but rattlesnakes die. Anyway, this won't happen to me. That happened to these two old people because I'll never live somewhere where there's a possibility that a bear is going to break into my window. So I guess I'm never living in Colorado. I'll live in Denver. I'll live in Denver in a high-rise downtown. I think, that's like the extent of me living in bear country. Again, my bear fear. I woke up in a car with a bear on the hood of the car in the woods of Wisconsin. We were camping at a campground and we didn't have a tent or anything, so we slept in the car. And the car had T-tops and the T-tops were open. And I fell asleep in the car with a bunch of Burger King bags in the back. And we woke up in the morning with a bear on the hood of the car, rocking the car back and forth. And all I looked up and I saw the T-tops. And I'm like, this fucking bear is getting in this car. There is no way I'm going to die because I was too lazy to walk the Burger King bags and throw them away in the garbage. I got Burger King bags in the back. I'm going to die. And just at that moment, a Ranger hit the bear that was on the hood of our car. It was a 1979 Buick Regal with T-tops. So we were classy. Just as that happened, a Ranger, I guess, with a fire hose, boom, hit the bear on the hood of the car. The bear went stumbling off the car and ran off into the woods. And I was like, holy shit. I was sleeping in the car. Apparently this was going on. Apparently the bear was in the camp and he was walking around and they went and they called the Rangers and the Rangers showed up. And then just as the Rangers showed up, the bear decided to climb on my car. It wasn't my car. It was Jim's car. The bear climbs on Jim's car. And then that was scary. Anyway, I'm not going through that again. Never going to live anywhere where there are bears. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Bear attack. Okay, so any of you guys wrestling dorks? You guys wrestling dorks? I'm kind of sort of like I'm getting into wrestling, like WWE wrestling and stuff, because my 15-year-old's really into it. I've never been into it. Okay, so I was into it in like the early 80s when I was really little, and on Saturday mornings, one of the only things on TV were these like localized Midwestern wrestling matches, right? Gene's Auto Sales, I remember, was who would have. Every commercial was for Gene's Auto Sales. And then I watched that wrestling. And then in like the late 80s, it kind of blew up. But at that point, I was 19-ish, 18. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really into it. So I missed it all. And I've always sort of kept an eye on wrestling. In the early 2000s, got into it a little bit because the old Pugs and Kelly show, we used to interview wrestlers all the time. But I'm not really a wrestling fan. My son's a diehard wrestling fan. My son loves wrestling, loves everything about it. He's just obsessed with it. He's watched the Mr. McMahon video or series twice. The Netflix series, it's like an 8-part series, 1-hour episodes each. He's watched it twice. He just rips through it. He's like, it's so awesome. I'm like, okay. So I guess there was a wrestling incident over the weekend that is, this is such a problem, you guys. I don't know what's real because this wrestling incident that occurred over the weekend concerning, who is it? Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is the son of Dusty Rhodes. I know Dusty Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, I guess he's a champion. Like he's like one of the best guys. He's like one of the best dudes in all of the wrestling world right now. So Cody Rhodes got into this situation with Kevin Owens, who I've never heard of. Who was Kevin? We call him like Beefcake or something. Who was Kevin Owens? All right, so they got into an altercation that was filmed on camera, fan cams, phones, fans who were, kept at a distance, but they had their phones out and they recorded this incident between Kevin Owens and WWE champion Cody Rhodes. And I'm watching this thing and I'm reading the CBS News report on it. And I'm saying to myself, wait, so is this real? Or is it because it looks exactly like something WWE fakes everything? Fakes everything. So the legitimate news story aspect of this was kind of confusing me. I'm like, when Hulk Hogan chased Vince McMahon down with an axe and then destroyed his car, the New York Times didn't report that. So this is being reported like it's real news, and I'm a little confused. I'm like, is this a real thing that happened, or is this, as they say in the wrestling world, kayfabe? Is this a part of the myth, part of the deception, a part of the theater of it? Everybody's acting like it's not. And I don't know, we're going to look at it here and you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks like something that they would do on the WWE as a bit to make people talk. Oh, that was real. No, it wasn't real. No, it wasn't. And now we're at a point where I think this might be real, but we're all like, that can't be real. WWE's storytelling extended beyond the pay-per-view cameras on Saturday night. Smartphone footage captured a heated conversation turned violent between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens after WWE Bad Blood went off the air on Saturday. Fans captured the off-broadcast segment at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, an animated conversation between undisputed WWE champion Rhodes and his friend Owens turned physical after Owens pressed a finger into Rhodes' chest. Rhodes tried to de-escalate the situation and walked away. Owens then struck Rhodes with a stiff sucker punch as Rhodes reached down to grab his title that he had placed on the floor. Owens continued to assault Rhodes, slamming him into a tour bus and kicking him on the floor. WWE staff intervened soon. All right, so you want to see this? And like I said, I think this is fake. I thought this was like, I thought that this is like just what they do in wrestling, and that it's being treated like it's real news. Sports Bra says it was staged but not filmed because WWE knew fans would record it to make it look legit. Chris, that is exactly what I'm thinking. I am thinking that this is like the next sort of age of kayfabe, where you no longer, as the producers of the bit, as the producers of the performance, the WWE, you no longer have to actually film it because everybody films everything when they see these people. So, I mean, that's interesting. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Triple H has taken over for Vince McMahon and has made it 10 times better. Triple H made a statement. He said that it will be dealt with internally, which also kind of leads me to think, okay, so no police reports? So then maybe it wasn't real. Although these wrestlers in real life are nuts who may not want if it was real, like I'm thinking, if it is real, these two roided out maniacs, they may not want the police involved. They may want to just settle it without the police involved. But at the same time, when you don't get the police involved, it seems less legit. It seems more like it could be. Let's take a look at it. We've actually got video of it. This is video that was shot by somebody. Hold on. They're going to make me go to X. I'll go to X for it. That's cool. All right. I will say this. The initial uppercut that dude lands on Cody Rhodes seems legit. Seems legit. It seems fast. And it seems like he really did get knocked the fuck out. But then there's all of this wrestling like punches that look like half punches where he's not really landing, where it's just, it's like weird. Let's take a look at this. Here you go. This is the situation outside State Farm Arena in Atlanta on Saturday night. Is this real or is this just wrestling? Here. So you can see the green shirt with the white hair. For those of you not in the know, that's Cody Rhodes. He is the undisputed champion of wrestling world. The other dude is this Owens guy who I've never heard of, who it says and describes him as a friend of Cody Rhodes. Let's watch.
Move out of the way!
So you hear from the crowd when Owens placed his finger in the chest of Cody Rhodes and backed him off. You heard the crowd go, whoa, which tells me those two guys are very aware that this is being done in public. People are watching and most definitely recording. Did you see that punch? It's hard to see because old Baldy McSecurity guy, his head kind of gets, but that looks to me like a very real punch. Well, all right, so now Baldy McSecurity guy is moving into the frame, but right here it comes. That's a real punch, you guys. That's a real punch, and it landed. If they're friends, maybe they're like, yeah, go ahead. You can really punch me. We'll really sell it. We'll make it look good. I mean, wrestlers are nuts. They do take real punches. Not always. See, that looks almost fake, and then he starts doing kicks and stuff that look kind of wrestling fake. But that first punch, man, that first punch looks real. All right, see, now this part starts to look really phony. He leaves the guy whose head he's just stomped into the concrete, and he's going to go get a trash bin, and he's going to throw the trash bin on him. Nobody does that in a real fight. That's not a real thing unless the trash bin is right there. You don't go, I'm going to stomp it, I mean, it's very performative at this point. And now he gets into his Lamborghini and he drives off. His Lamborghini was just, all right, this is all starting to look very bullshit to me. That's where he was parked. In the real world, he would have to well, where did I park? And you got to walk around. No, in this particular, the Lamborghini is right there in full frame of the audience who was penned in a certain area filming. And why is this the only video I've seen? Are there more videos? I want to see different angles. Here he goes. Now he's going to get in his Lamborghini and ride off into the sunset for a great dramatic finish to this totally real situation, which I'm sorry, I now think it's false. How does a wrestler I've never heard of have a Lamborghini? I don't know. I watched a YouTube kid named Jack Flaherty or something wreck his $250,000 McLaren on Saturday. He's got a McLaren, so I guess they're just handing out supercars to douchebags. There he goes. All right, now it seems to be that there is some serious medical attention being delivered to Cody Rhodes, who's still on the ground. I don't see any pools of blood. He does not. Is he standing on his own power? Is this him standing on his own power? Because if he really was screwed up, a bunch of dudes in suits who work for the corporate entity that runs this wrestling organization, if they thought he was really hurt, they wouldn't be picking him up off the ground. You don't touch an injured person until medical staff gets there. That's another reason to think that this is fake. I don't know that they just be picking him up like this. He's talking like you. That is not. That is. Oh my God! I've been hoodwinked. This is so obviously fake. Why the fuck is CBS and the New York Times reporting this like it's actual news? The fuck is wrong with these people? This is so fake. Look at him walking away like a guy in the ring who's gonna find his second win. Why I don't like wrestling. They always make me feel like always makes me feel like I'm stupid. Like they think I'm stupid. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, you think you're gonna fool me with that? Anybody, first of all, if the dude's wearing a suit and he's being paid by the WWE at this big event, that dude is like a corporate guy. He understands the policy about injured people. You don't touch an injured person. I got hoodwinked. That's right, I sure did, Chris. Hoodwinked. All right, let's see here. Yeah, who was that? He rented the car. Barney says he rented the Lamborghini for the bit, probably. It's parked right there. Convenient for him to make his big exit. Doesn't have to go through the crowd. Doesn't have to answer any questions. It's just convenient that his car's right there, and it's a really awesome car. He didn't get into a Corolla. He didn't get into like, just a regular base model BMW. No, he had to get into like this fancy rocket ship supercar. It's a bit. I feel like I've been manipulated. Thank you to all of you. Chris, for pointing it out. Thank you. That maybe, but CBS and the New York Times reported that shit like it was real news. All right, hey, how about this? NASCAR had a big crash yesterday. This was the biggest crash in NASCAR history. Biggest crash of ever all time. Hold on. Do I have the wrong one here? Let's see. Oh, for fuck's sake. Really? Screw this. I want to watch the NASCAR crash. We just watched wrestling stuff. Hold on. I thought I had it. There it is. Talladega had a big race. There was a big wreck. Here, let me see. Oh, for hell's sake. Hold on, guys. This is really making me mad now. Really making me mad. Why can't I find the cool ass? I'm gonna kill my stupid kid. Why is my stupid kid using my YouTube right now during the day? There are things here. Let me see. Is this it? Yeah. All right. Here we go. We'll watch this. There's a big crash. I think everybody's all right, right? Like I can be glib about it because nobody died, but there was a big crash. It's the biggest crash in the history of NASCAR. 28 cars were involved. Let's see how it played out. Here we go. Big old NASCAR crash yesterday at Talladega.
Let's show you some replays on what transpired coming to the line to complete the stage.
No, I don't like this one. I don't want this one. This is not the one. This is a stupid one. Ugh. I want to see the actual NASCAR official extended highlights, Talladega. Here we go. Okay, let's watch this one. This is, I think, it. Yeah, this is the good one. All right, here we go. This was yesterday. 28 cars involved. Talladega NASCAR super crash. Oh.
Remember, he served a penalty. They're going to try to get around him. Todd's going to probably stay right to the bottom. This late in the race, there's no need in playing games with this.
This is what happened to AJ Allmendinger earlier.
What's going on with this guy? What's going on with 18? I'm telling you, 18 losing power quickly, dropping back. He's gonna thank himself for that. This little losing power here, this saves him from being involved in a real mess.
And look at that. Look at the speed of the pack. Here we go. Cendric's gone. So too is Logano. Harrison Burton's in there. LaJoy.
The whole field.
No, I take it back. He got swooped up in it. Apparently he didn't have the power to get away, and he's right here at this point. He's spinning. He's getting knocked around. I thought he was going to get.
My goodness.
He did start
To the bottom. This late in the race is no need in playing games with this.
This is what happened to AJ Allmendinger earlier.
Let's track him.
And look at that. Look at the speed of the pack. Here we go. Cendric's gone. So too is Logano. Harrison Burton's in there. The joy. The whole field. My goodness.
Something stacked everybody up on the front two rows. The pushes got, something happened to slow them down. Look at this.
Look at that. That's awesome. That is what you pay for. All right, there you go. I don't even know who won. I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Just that is apparently the largest crash. 28 cars in the field were involved in that wreck. Big NASCAR crash yesterday at Talladega. And we can talk about it in this way because I don't think anybody died. And I know nobody died. I know it would have been a much bigger story had somebody died. I think everybody's okay. Speaking of somebody who's not okay, Madonna's brother died. Do you guys know Madonna's brother? Madonna's brother, Christopher. He was, I think he was all over the Truth or Dare movie. If you saw the Madonna documentary, Truth or Dare. He was her younger brother. He was an artist. He was a New York mainstay on the art scene and all that kind of stuff. And he owes absolutely everything to the fact that he's Madonna's little brother. That's it. Madonna and him were raised in Detroit suburbs. She was very artsy. He was very gay. They were both very Catholic. She needed to escape this whole thing. So she goes and moves to New York. She becomes Madonna. And then right as she's becoming Madonna, her little brother goes, "Hey, I don't like being gay in the suburbs of Detroit. Can I come to New York and be gay with you?" And she said, "Sure. I've got all kinds of gay people around me. This will be good for you." So her and Christopher, they went off and they conquered the world together. They were very close. He would go on, as I say, to be a big New York gallery owner. He's involved in Broadway. Again, all because he's Madonna's little brother. He died pretty young, though. I think it was 61 or something like that. Madonna wrote this to her little brother yesterday. It's kind of sweet. We don't really often hear Madonna being sweet. She's kind of a bitch. That's sort of her resting position. But this is what Madonna wrote about the passing of her brother yesterday. She posted this on Instagram. She said, "My brother Christopher is gone. He was the closest human to me for so long. It's hard to explain our bond, but it grew out of an understanding that we were different and society was going to give us a hard time for not following the status quo. We took each other's hands and we danced through the madness of our childhood. In fact, dance was kind of the super glue that held us together. Discovering dance in our small Midwestern town, you grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, okay? You're acting like, you grew up 30 miles outside of Topeka. Stop it. We took each other's hands and we danced through the madness of our childhood. In fact, dance was with the kind of super glue that held us together. Discovering dance in our small Midwestern town saved me, and then my brother came along, and it saved him too. My ballet teacher, also named Christopher, created a safe space for my brother to be gay, a word that was not spoken or even whispered where we lived. When I finally got the courage to go to New York to become a dancer, my brother followed. And again, we took each other's hands and we danced through the madness of New York City. We devoured art and music and film like hungry animals. We were in the epicenter of all these things exploding. We danced through the madness of the AIDS epidemic. We went to funerals and we cried and we went dancing. We danced together on stage in the beginning of my career, and eventually he became the creative director of many of my tours. When it came to good taste, my brother was the Pope, and you had to kiss the ring to get his blessing." Well, he sounded like a whole lot, didn't he? First of all, he's all overblown with entitlement because he's Madonna's little brother. Second of all, and if you don't remember, Madonna was like the biggest thing in the world. Second of all, he's like Madonna's favorite thing. I mean, he seems like he was probably a lot. This latte is warm. He seems just like he'd be a lot. But look, he's dead, and we're paying tribute to Christopher Ciccone. I don't know how to say his name. What is Madonna's real name? It's Madonna Mary Louise Ciccone. It says, we were at the epicenter of all things exploding. We danced through the madness of the AIDS epidemic. We went to funerals and we cried and we went dancing. We danced together on stage in the beginning of my career, and eventually he became the creative director of many of my tours. When it came to good taste, my brother was the Pope, and you had to kiss the ring to get his blessing. We defied the Roman Catholic Church, the police, the moral majority, and all authority figures that got in the way of artistic freedom. My brother was right by my side. He was a painter, a poet, and a visionary. I admired him. He had impeccable taste and a sharp tongue, which he sometimes used against me, but I always forgave him. We soared the highest heights together and floundered in the lowest of lows. He didn't really have lows, not in the last 50 years. Let's be honest. We soared the highest of heights together and floundered in the lowest of lows. Somehow we always found each other again, and we held hands and we kept dancing. The last few years have not been easy. We didn't speak for some time, but when my brother got sick, we found our way back to one another. I did my best to keep him alive as long as I possibly could. He was in so much pain towards the end of his life. Once again, we held hands, we closed our eyes, and one last time we danced together. I'm glad he's not suffering anymore. There will never be anyone like him. I know he's dancing somewhere. Madonna on her brother, who died yesterday. And again, I say her brother wasn't a big star, but her brother was a pop culture personality for a period of time in like the 80s and the 90s. And, he was somebody that always, well, as I said, he always seemed like a bit much. He seems a bit much. Madonna's brother. I mean, Madonna seems a bit much, but at least she's Madonna. You're like, well, she can be a bit much. She can be a bit much the way Barbara Streisand can be a bit much. She can be a bit much the way Cher can be a bit much. Anyway, all right, moving on. Let's see here. We're going to wrap up. The show's almost done. I know I cut you short. I got started a little bit late today, but we got, you know what? We're going to have to, do I do this one or that one? All right, how about Joker? Anybody out there see the new Joker movie? Do you remember a couple of months ago when they released the first trailer for the Joker movie? And I believe we all watched it together and went, that looks like that's going to suck. That looks like they don't know what they're doing. What is this, a fucking musical now? What are they doing here? Well, guess what? We were right. The Joker is being called, not the Joker, The Joker Part 2. Folie it's like so pretentious. It's being called the worst movie ever. It's being called the worst movie ever. It's Joaquin Phoenix. It's Lady Gaga. It sucks. Everybody says worst movie ever. I don't know. It looks bad. The trailer looks really bad. It's like, that doesn't look good at all. That looks like it might be the worst movie ever. And that's what they're calling it. What else do we have here? Okay, that's going to do it. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's it. The show has run on a Christine Nina says Detroit is a small town now. Oh, it's not. Stop it. No, it's not. You know what we're doing. You're just being disingenuous. Yes, I understand that the population of Detroit has dropped over the years and it's no longer one of the major American industrial cities, but it's still a big city. Okay, it's still got a whole lot of stuff. It's still a big city. I'm a Detroit defender. I like Detroit, and the Detroit suburbs are nice. The Detroit suburbs are some of there are some super dude. Where do you think like the guy who owns General Motors lives, or the guy who owns Chrysler lives? They live in the Detroit suburb. There's really nice areas of Detroit. I just called Madonna out on her painting her childhood as being rural, which it sounded like she was trying to do, when in fact she grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. She had all 4 major sports teams her entire life growing up. That is not a small Midwestern town. I grew up in a small Midwestern town about 750 miles west of Des Moines. Yeah, but like 5 miles from the Detroit city limits. So let's stop pretending like you grew up in Mayberry. Okay, Madonna? You didn't. Yeah, no, Peter's asking. No, we just came through a pledge week, and today I got to do my bills. We didn't make it. A lot of you helped. I appreciate that. Today I got to pay for all the stuff from last month. So just I like to do a pure show. You know how I hate saying to you guys, hey, if you want the show to continue, throw something in the tip jar. So I just kind of look forward to certain days where we can be clean, we can be unsullied by the commercialization of this pure artistic product that Christopher Ciccone would be proud of. Come, Madonna, take my hand. Let us dance now. I bet you dancing is the answer to all of your problems when you've got Madonna money. I bet you when you've got Madonna money, any problem can be danced away. Any problem. No, you're awesome, Pete. No, you're awesome, Al. What else do we got to do here? All right, that's it. Frank Smith says, Dearborn, Michigan, great city, home of the Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company. Random. I love that about Frankie, boy. Frankie just throws random shit out. And then I get distracted because I like to give you guys the credit when you say something, when you contribute in the chat room. We have a very fun chat room. I like to give you guys credit by talking about it on the stream. And then I run in every day. See, I run into Frank, and it's just some amazing rando nugget that is just sort of attached to something we were talking about, but not really. And Frank, I want you to know, I look forward to those. I look forward to your random brain just dropping random nuggets of semi-connected information. It's great. Still hot here in the studios. The beautiful Kelly Moore Studios. Beautiful Kelly Moore Studios here at the E-Gallery in Dallas's Design District. It's very hot in here, and how appropriate, because Kelly Moore was cold in every studio she was ever in. She did the show. It's like the middle of July, right? I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt. I look over at her. She's got a parka on. She's like, it's cold in here. She was nuts. All right, that's it, guys. I love you guys. Well, why not? Go ahead here. Why? Hey, if one guy's asking for it, I'm going to put together a nice little thing where I thank the people who helped out on Friday. We didn't make it, and I was like, I ignored it all weekend because sometimes you need to spend your weekend arguing with your son about what a shit school Florida is, rather than, wrapping yourself up in all the nonsense of the day. I love you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow. I appreciate you. Have yourself a good night. Be watching Monday Night Football. And if not just for the football, be watching to see if this is why I'm watching. Are Taylor and Tavis, what were they called? Tavis? Taylor and Travis? Are they still a thing? We'll have an answer for you tomorrow. All right, love you guys. Be well. Have a good one.